What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Fridays. Now, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, as you've probably noticed by the video quality, my capture card still has not arrived. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to stick with this setup for a little longer. I don't know when it'll be getting here. If I could get it here any faster, I would. Now, there was a comment on, I think it was my first video, about using a custom firmware instead of a capture card in the meantime, but I just haven't had time to set it up since things have been rather busy for me the past few weeks. But we'll make do with what we've got here. So, where we last left off, Corin, our player character, had just... why can I suddenly not remember anything that happened last episode? Oh, that's right. So, basically, we got kidnapped by or I guess reclaimed would probably be a better word, by our Hoshiden siblings, and then responded to an attack out, I think near the Fire Tribe village. I don't remember the exact geography. And helped save two of our sisters, who then, of course, will be joining us later in this playthrough. But for now, we've got a pretty pivotal moment in the story coming up this episode. We've got Chapter 5 called Mother, for reasons that, if you haven't played through Fire Emblem Fates before, you'll see why in a few moments. But if you have, then you obviously know what's coming up, so yeah. This is where things start to get real. So basically, I'm going to be doing the thing where I skip through most of the dialogue again. So basically, Mikoto wants us to try sitting on the throne. Wait, is that? What unit is that? Shoot, I skipped through too quickly. Oh well. So Mikoto wants us to sit on the throne so that we can... the throne of Hoshido is magical, supposed to be able to dispel any enchantments. So she wants us to sit on the throne so that we can potentially break any memory spell that she thinks the Norians might have placed on us, which... isn't actually really explained, because Corin never actually sits on that throne in any of the playthroughs as far as I'm aware. So, maybe it was a memory thing, maybe not. But either way, those memories are coming back pretty shortly. I won't say what they are just yet, but you'll see pretty soon. So basically now Mikoto's like, oh, we need to make this public announcement about all this. So there's this big festival that's going to be thrown. So now all of our siblings, except Ryoma, or Ike for the purposes of this playthrough. I'm pretty sure it's Ike? Yeah, I think it's still Ike. Yeah, that's definitely Ike. Sorry, been a while since I've recorded a video for this series. I've been trying to wait so that my capture card would be here and we could use a more advanced setup than pointing a camera at my screen. But as I said already, that didn't happen. But yeah, so... Ike is suspicious, however, about something about to happen. Oh, Jacob replaces Yukimura. Okay, that doesn't really matter because Jacob isn't really that good in my opinion. I mean, he's better than Felicia, but that's mainly because Jacob actually deals damage. And they both kind of take mages on in similar fashion, although I don't remember for sure, but I think Felicia's resistance is better. Resistance and magic, I think, are better for Felicia, whereas Jacob is more physical. So... basically, we're off to a festival. Ike is all like, oh, there's something going on here, we need to be on alert. So now we're just going off to generic filler content for a few moments. We're here in the castle town of Shirasaki, where everything is nice and peaceful. All these people are just here for the festival. Insert filler text about trying food, because reasons. Everyone's so happy, blah, blah, blah. They're basically just, having some banter back and forth, introducing some of it. And this is where the cutscene starts, so I'm gonna shut up for this part because it's major story.
Please forgive me.
Okay, so, to explain what happened a bit, basically, Ganglari, the sword that Garen gifted us, was sort of stolen, sort of called on, I guess would be a better word, by a cloaked figure who is revealed, whose identity is revealed in Revelations, but not in Birthright, so we won't find out who he is on this playthrough. If you want to look into that and spoil it for yourself, if you didn't already know, perhaps when I get around to doing a Revelations playthrough eventually, we'll see that, but I'm not going to say it now for the purpose of making it so that anyone who isn't used to the story of this game doesn't have that spoiled for them. So, the guy basically took Ganglari, caused a massive explosion that killed, like, everyone in the vicinity. Then, Ganglari itself exploded, hurling shards towards, Corrin. Mikoto got in the way and took the hits and is dead. So, yeah. And now, Corrin has basically gone into rage mode, as a giant dragon, and will now be, the absolute strongest character in this entire chapter. Because Corrin is just overpowered in this game. Like, I wouldn't go so far as to say that the player character is the best character, but they're very strong. So, basically, now we have to fight our way through everything that just spawns. And now the game's going to warn us about Dragon Slayers. Since we are part dragon, or since Corrin is a Manakete and has dragon blood, Corrin is weak to Worm Slayers and any weapons that would deal bonus damage to, say, Wyvern Rider or something like that at all times, regardless of the class. But in this stage, that's pretty much the only thing that can kill Corrin. So let's just get our danger area here. Oh, and another thing I should mention. Unfortunately, for the purposes of this chapter, Corrin acts as kind of half allied, half player controlled, in that he can't support or be supported by anyone. He still acts and is controlled on your turn, but you don't get to use supports with him on this chapter. So we can't pair anyone up with him. We can't pair him up with anyone to try to get out of a tight spot. But that's fine, because Corrin... Here, Corrin's base stats are ridiculous for this chapter. Basically, the game gives you some absurd base stats to make up for the fact that all your other characters are kind of weak, and this chapter is stupidly difficult on the harder difficulties. So, let's just set that back up. Okay, and then we also get Felicia, who I think we had last chapter. Yeah, we had Felicia last chapter. So let's go down to here with Felicia. And then we've also got Kaden, who, if you missed last week's video, let me just show you. His stats are absolutely ridiculous at this point. But unfortunately, that 1 point of EXP he gained wasn't carried over from a past level. It was the 1 point of EXP he gained from killing an opponent. So, unfortunately, because his EXP growths are so terrible, he's probably not going to see much use in any later episodes in this series. And then we also have Lucina the Kitsune, who's... Oh my... These base stats are actually good. Here. Sorry. Again, with our current setup, we don't really have anything better to do to show this stuff. But those are really good base stats for this point in the game. But I'm worried that, like Kaden, her EXP growths are just going to be terrible. And if that's the case, she becomes basically unusable because we can't do anything with it. And we can just ignore this entire line of dialogue from Oboro, because I don't think we'll be getting a healer at all throughout this chapter. Or, no, not a healer, sorry. I'm hoping we'll get a healer eventually, because a healer is pretty necessary for Fire Emblem. If you don't have a healer at all, you're in trouble, because there's no good way to recover health besides that. So now, Ike and the hooded unknown guy are going to fight it out. They'll probably be fighting it out for most of this chapter. Sorry, wrong button. So, their accuracy on each other, though, is not very good, so they'll probably just be missing most of the time. And this here shows basically what's going to happen with Corrin. Corrin is so overpowered at this point in the game that in this form for this chapter, Corrin is so overpowered that he one-shots pretty much any enemy that appears. The only exceptions are the boss, although I think he might still one-shot the boss. He does a lot of damage to the boss, and he's like the only one who can actually fight the boss besides Ryoma, who, well, Ike, sorry, used to the regular playthrough. But with Ike versus the hooded guy, it's basically down to the RNG, kind of like it was for Hans back in Chapter 3, I think? Yeah, that was Chapter 3. Where, depending on how lucky we get with Ike's attacks and avoids, he'll either be super useful and whittle down or potentially even kill the boss without us having to fight it at all, or he'll get destroyed ridiculously quickly because the boss can take him down in like 2 attacks and will be useless for this chapter. It doesn't really matter what happens either way though, because if you lose Ike, or as it would normally be Ryoma here, it doesn't actually affect the story. It sort of just has him retreat as if it's a casual mode. And now Lucina, who I believe is replacing Sakura, is basically like, oh, watch out for magic, it'll kill you. And it kind of will, but that's not really the point. For now, let's just have Lucina attack and kill this mercenary, and we'll see how her EXP growths are. I guess this is kind of the moment of truth as to whether or not we'll actually be able to use her. Oh, but she's not going to have any voices or emotes for this because the randomizer doesn't quite work with that because she doesn't have a distorted, transformed voice. But the animations will still work, mostly. 4 EXP. That's probably unusable. Maybe we can bring her into a later chapter, but it's pretty likely that we're not going to be able to use her at all. A shame, but oh well. As long as we get a few strong units that are actually usable, we'll be fine. Oh, I should probably mention here, because Oboro is a Norin Princess class, which is the female counterpart of the class that Corrin is normally. Obviously, Corrin's a giant dragon at the moment, but that's story reasons. Ordinarily, Corrin is the male counterpart to this. Because Oboro is of this class, she's weak to Dragon Slayer weapons, so the Worm Slayer will be a threat to her as well. I think I might have Kaden just lure out some of these units over on this side. I mean, Kaden is so overpowered that it doesn't really matter what I do with him at the moment. He's probably not going to die. So, we can kind of just have him do whatever. So yeah, Felicia's gonna take a hit. Oh, jeez. This guy doubles us. I should have looked more carefully at our stats before placing Felicia here. I don't think Felicia can die here, though, which is good. Oh, maybe I should trade over the Bronze Lance to Felicia so that she has a weapon that doesn't leave her open to attack. So yeah, we're just gonna see Ike versus the hooded guy again. He lands a hit, which is good. The more hits he lands, the better, because we have less health to worry about when we go to kill the boss. So we're just gonna have Corrin pick up this kill on the mage. Pretty easy, considering that... Oh, wow. So that's gonna do. Yeah. That was a totally necessary crit. I don't think we would have gotten that kill without that crit. I don't know what I would have done without the Fire Emblem Fates randomizer. Not randomizer. RNG, sorry, that's what I meant. Okay, so... this one is risky, but I think I'm gonna try it anyway. We are on Classic, or Casual, so if she dies, I'm pretty sure she'll be back next chapter. So no huge deal. Plus it's an 80% chance. I feel like that's good enough. Yes, okay, we got that hit. That's good. If we had missed, the Worm Slayer would have completely one-shot us and we'd just be doomed. But, as I suspected, Oboro's, if I can think of it, EXP growths are just fine. So, we don't have to worry about that. I think I'll give Lucina this kill here just because her growth was slightly better than Kaden's. And, given the choice between the two, I would rather use, Lucina than Kaden. Because even though the villager class is pretty good, for Kaden it's not really that valuable at all. Besides the skills, but that's irrelevant at the moment. since it's unlikely that he'll ever get enough EXP to use any of them. Okay, so it looks like we're going through this quickly enough that we'll be able to... Oh, maybe not. That we'll be able to get to the boss before he kills Ike, which normally doesn't happen for me. Normally, with my luck and just how the randomizer, I always say that, RNG plays out. Oh, yep, there. That's normally what happens at about this point. Normally, Ike, or Ryoma, as it normally is, survives until about this point for me, taking some health away from the boss. But I have only ever seen, or Ryoma has ever, I can't talk. Ryoma has only ever killed the boss once for me, which is actually not good. Well, actually, no. It's not good that he killed the boss. It's great that it's only happened once, because Ryoma doesn't get EXP at this point in the game because it's an allied unit. So if that, so by killing the boss, that's taking away the EXP that we're about to get for Corrin. So, not a ton, but that's up to level 9, which is good. Next level, we'll get Dragon Fang. Oh, that was a bad growth. But we're a dragon at the moment, so our stats on the bottom screen are still absurd. Yeah. And that's going to be it for this chapter. And I think it goes straight into it. Yep, it does. Oop, sorry. Kicked my camera setting by mistake. Let's just... There. So I should probably explain at this point that Azura's songs have special power. We'll get into... Story Azura will explain that for us. And I'm saying Story Azura because we probably won't have a singer for the entirety of the game. Kind of unfortunate because we lose out on the ability to take a second action with any of our units. But the singer class isn't really that good combat-wise unless you pour a ton of EXP into it. And then eventually, like, her growths are pretty good offensively, but it's a glass cannon setup, so not terrible if you're using it as sort of an off attacker, but generally Azura is better as a support unless you have the patience to invest a ton of offensive strength into her. But yeah, so basically her song has a bunch of ancient powers that we won't get into that much of, I don't think. In Birthright, it's more explained in Revelations, and I think the Hidden Truths DLC, no, not Hidden Truths, Heirs of Fate DLC gets into the history of that a lot more than the main game does, but unfortunately I don't have that DLC, and I'm not sure if it will work with the randomizer anyway. I don't think I've ever actually tested the DLC with the randomizer. Probably should have done that, but... So... we probably won't be learning that much more about Azura's song, although she will tell us some at, I want to say, chapter 12 or 13. So yeah, basically, Azura calms us down with her song, and then suddenly Corrin remembers everything that Mikito wanted us to remember. Wanted us to remember.
I'm disappointed in you, Subaraki. That wasn't even my best trap. You poor thing. Orphaned at such a tender young age. You are my child now.
Okay, so basically, in the past, Garen ambushed and killed Sumeragi at a what was supposed to be peace talk, I think. And so then they kidnapped Corrin and raised Corrin as if they were Garen's child. And that's basically what this cutscene tells us.
I'm so sorry.
So then everyone's like, "Oh, Corrin, are you okay? What happened? Azura, are you all right? Well, Aboro, are you all right?" Because basically Corrin tried to kill Azura, but Azura's song negated, or rather suppressed or calmed is a better word for it, Corrin's dragon form temporarily. We'll get into that a bit more shortly. So then, oh yeah, this is another major point. Takumi is a jerk, if you didn't know. I think I might have mentioned it last video, but basically either route you take, well, I shouldn't say either route. On Revelations, he's not that bad because story. But in Birthright and Conquest, Takumi gets super angsty about this whole thing. He's like, "Oh, you're the reason Mother died. I hate you now." And it gets really bad in Conquest. But if I ever go back and do... Well, I most likely will. When I go back to do a Conquest playthrough, we'll get into that. Maybe I'll do a Conquest playthrough alongside this, actually. I don't think I can do the randomizer just yet for Conquest, because I don't have a physical copy of Conquest, and I don't have it set up so that I can get the data to randomize from the digital version that I have. So I might just do a regular Conquest playthrough, or maybe like hard mode, just because I like torturing myself and because Chapter 10. If you don't get that meme, I will eventually get to a Conquest playthrough, and I will show you why Chapter 10 is infamous for Conquest. It is perhaps one of the most difficult chapters in Fire Emblem that I have ever played. And I say that I have ever played because I have never played Radiant Dawn. Fanbase, please don't kill me. I just haven't... I don't have a physical copy of Radiant Dawn. I only have a ROM version of Path of Radiance that I might do a playthrough of eventually. I've never played Radiant Dawn, so I don't know how bad it is personally, but Radiant Dawn is said to be one of the hardest Fire Emblem games in the series. But Chapter 10 of Conquest is brutal. Basically, it throws everything in the kitchen sink at you. So, back to the story that's actually going on at the moment. Now, Takumi's basically infuriated at us. This sword shows up out of nowhere because reasons. I don't know if it was built into the statue originally, like stored there to appear for some hero, or if it just Deus Ex Machina'd there. Kind of like a lot of the story of Fire Emblem Fates, to be honest. Like, I love these games, but sometimes their story doesn't make that much sense. But I don't think we ever get an explanation as to why the Yedo shows up here. But this is basically Corrin's version of Falchion from Awakening. Shadow Dragon, I think, has Falchion as well. I don't know that much about Shadow Dragon. And shoot, I can't remember what its remade sequel is called. Whatever. It's unimportant at the moment. It's basically the Fire Emblem of this game. We'll get into... or we won't properly see why in Birthright, but in Revelations, we basically see that the Yedo is the Fire Emblem of this game. And to put it into Conquest... I should probably not be recording at the moment. Oh well. To put it into context, the Fire Emblem is a recurring item throughout the series. I don't know that much about its usage outside or in the older games, but in Awakening, it's basically used to perform the Awakening ceremony, which then allows Falchion's true power to be, well, awakened. Which is critical because story. That's for a different playthrough, though. In this one, it also is used to kill a dragon, but we will not be seeing that, unfortunately. At least not the way it's meant to with the Yedo's creation, I guess. Because based on how everything works out with the Yedo, it's kind of implied with the Yedo's design and what eventually happens with it in Revelations, that the Yado's true form, so to speak, is the Omega Yado that you obtain near the end of Revelations. But we're playing Birthright, so that won't happen. So now basically we're being told that there's a giant Norian army coming to kill us all. Because now that Mikoto is dead, the magical barrier that she was sustaining to keep a Norian invasion impossible is no longer there, so now the Norian army is coming to kill us. Basically, it's drawing us into a war, and the entire plot of the game is about to really kick off. Oh yeah, and then Azura gives you a Dragon Stone here in order to control your dragon form that we just saw, and unfortunately it makes it so that you're not nearly as powerful as you were for this in Chapter 5, at least not until you get a lot more levels and a lot more actual stats instead of just having all that power from your Dragon Stone. But to be fair, I think the explanation it gives is if you give into your dragon form and use that kind of power too much, it will eventually destroy your souls, so let's try to keep our souls about us and just use the Dragon Stone for now. So then, we're basically going off to fight a war. Azura and Corrin get to be pretty close throughout the story, which makes the ending interesting. I'm not going to say any more than that at the moment. So that was Chapter 5, and hopefully everything will work with Chapter 6. The last time I tried Chapter 6 with the randomizer, I had to play through it without the randomizer in effect because it crashed. So let's see what happens. I'm just gonna click through this manually with A so that if it does freeze, I can get an idea where and maybe work with the creator of the randomizer, or at least try to help them as much as my meager hacking skills can do compared to actually creating the randomizer to resolve the issue so that it doesn't become a problem in the future. So basically this is the situation that we saw at the end of the cutscene of the prologue. Basically, all our siblings are showing up, and it's a tug of war for Corrin. So now all the siblings are like, yeah, Corrin's my brother. No, Corrin's my brother. Mine. Oh, it actually looks like it's working for now. That's good. I was worried I'd have to drop the randomizer and do it normally.
Big brother. He's my brother.
We're your family.
I don't know why, but for the longest time I thought Xander was holding a lance in that cutscene, but it's actually just Siegfried. I guess just the perspective and the way it's shown makes Siegfried's blade look kind of like the shaft of a lance. But no, it's Siegfried. As we'll see in a few moments with him using it to try to kill us, but yeah. Please don't crash, game, because it's actually working here. So we will be defending Hoshido, because otherwise the entire randomizer is basically pointless at the moment. So, basically, Birthright, it functions a lot like Awakening, where you can level grind and gain gold and EXP infinitely. Conquest has a very finite amount of gold and EXP, unless you use the DLC. So it's a lot more like the older traditional Fire Emblem games. Revelations is like Birthright for levels and gold, but Birthright is a lot more like Awakening in level objectives as well, because it's mostly rout the enemy and defeat the boss. Conquest has a whole host of different things, which is actually a really good combination, and it just makes for a really nice game in my opinion, but it's a lot more difficult. And then Revelations kind of balances the two, mixing, I think it's still mostly rout the enemy or defeat the boss, but it mixes in some of the other objectives as well, kind of like Conquest, but not nearly as far as Conquest goes. But we'll just be doing Birthright, as I've been saying since episode 1. So here we go for Chapter 6, In the White Light. This will probably be the last chapter I do for this video, because I don't want this video to be as long as the other ones. So basically now we're like, Xander, don't invade Hoshido. Garen's evil and a mastermind and trying to kill us all. And of course Xander doesn't believe us for a second, as we'll see in a moment. So Corin's like, Garen's an evil man who's trying to kill a bunch of innocent people and cause a really selfish war, and then this is Xander's response. Not sure how we suddenly managed to block that attack when Xander is mounted and not holding back, whereas earlier in the Norian castle, back in, I think, chapter 2 it was? Yeah, that was chapter 2. Back in chapter 2, when when Garen ordered us to execute the prisoners and Xander attacked us there, not sure how we're suddenly able to block one of Xander's attacks, but it doesn't really matter, it's story. So now Xander is going to try to kill us, and suddenly is a lot more effective at it, and this is going to hurt. Or at least it would if we didn't immediately get back to full health anyway. I kind of wish, actually, that it reduced your health a bit for starting this chapter for Corin, just to keep sort of the continuity, because Xander basically kicks you to the curb with that. He is just a lot stronger than you at this point in the game. Later on, we'll probably be able to 1v1 Xander and crush him, but for now, we're not even close. So, Xander is basically like, fine, I'll just kill you. And then Ike shows up and defends us. Wait, what? What class is that? Seriously, though, I cannot tell. Is that a hero? Jeez, why can I not tell what class that is? Whatever. We'll find out in, I'm pretty sure it's chapter 13 or 14 when we eventually get him on our side. But for now, basically, it's about to go into a full-blown war. So now we're all about to go fight off the Norian army. So, let's get right into it, shall we? I don't actually recall what the goal of this is. Oh yeah, we get Scarlet back. And I don't think her items are any better than last time. I still haven't forgotten you stealing my EXP though, Scarlet. But I suppose it's worth it to get you those skills. Oh, you start with a Norian Blade and a Heal Staff. I think that might have been almost what you had last time, but... So, basically, Scarlet is still kind of useless until we get to the point where... Wait, what's the objective? Defeat the boss. Oh, yeah. By the way, for this chapter, we have to kill Xander. So basically, the goal here is to have Ike do most of the work, because Ike is just about the only character on this entire battlefield who is similar in strength to Xander at the moment. But we have to be careful, because Leo is also on this battlefield, as is Camilla and Elise, but Elise doesn't really matter because she's just a healer. So yeah, we've got Camilla down here. We've also got Elise wielding... Or, not Elise, sorry. Leo wielding Brynhildr. A very scary weapon that will probably give us some problems in a couple moments. Oh, that's right. I wanted to go... Actually, no, I shouldn't. Oh, wait, no. Wait. Yeah, no, let's just have him keep his javelin for now. So we're going to have Felicia try to get an attack in here to get some nice damage on this fighter who is... Oh my god. Missed a 79% chance. Gotta love randomizer. Why do I do that? Gotta love RNGs is what I meant to say. Oh, but before we proceed any further, let's mark Xander and Leo's attack ranges. So, anywhere in red is anywhere... Oh, no. Anywhere in red is anywhere that we do not want to be standing right now. So, I'm just gonna have Caden take this kill because he's one of... Or, his stats are pretty good right now, so he might be able to take a hit from Xander. But I really doubt that Felicia can, so... Let's try to avoid that happening, if at all possible. So then we'll just have our units fall back. I'm kind of hoping that... Xander will just attack Ike, and we won't have to worry about dying immediately. Oh, wait. Oh, hang on, do I... No, I don't have anyone with rescue, but I can pair up to give Felicia some better stats and hopefully a better chance against the stupid, overpowered state that Xander is in at the moment. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. So let's just wait. Okay, good. Xander's just attacking Ike, and based on the combat forecast, it looks like this is going to be the end of the chapter. We missed. That's unfortunate. Ooh, Leo is trying to kill Ike. This is not something I've seen before, actually. Almost every time I've played through this chapter, Leo has rushed the bridge and tried to kill me. I'm kind of glad he hasn't, though, because at the moment our units don't really want anything to do with that kind of power. However, Ike is strong enough to kill everyone in one attack at the moment, so... Well, okay. Camilla might be able to survive one hit. Her defense is decent, I think. But Elise is screwed if she gets attacked by Ike. And Xander is just about the only other unit on the field who can do this. So now to do what I probably should have done turn 1, which is put... Oh, maybe this is why. So maybe Xander didn't try to kill the rest of my units because I had Ike out in the open, instead of going into these woods here that I can use to get some of an advantage against Siegfried. Because as you can see now, his hit chance is currently at 10%. So if we weren't almost guaranteed to kill him on our first attack, we still probably wouldn't take damage, and this would still probably end the chapter. So let's just hope that it does, because no one can take on Xander. Okay, that's good. So then, basically, all of the Norian army retreats temporarily. The battle's over, and we get ready with some melodramatic dialogue about how fighting our Hoshiden or our Norian siblings is going to be unpleasant. And here we have the cutscene that plays at the beginning, so I'm just going to let this play for the moment. It doesn't really have like any specific dialogue or anything, so I think I might also talk over it. No, I'll get up to the point where we get into my castle, just so that we can save there, and I won't have to worry about the prologue for any future recordings. But yeah, so it basically shows off a bunch of scenes that unfortunately never actually happen that much in the game. Although it kind of foreshadows Xander versus Ryoma a bit in that shot, where it's a generic paladin against a generic swordmaster. The first time I watched that, I thought it was Salif, but I don't really know why. It looked like the portrait of him that I had seen in the Awakening DLC, or in Fire Emblem Awakening's DLC battles, where you could fight some of the characters from the older Fire Emblem games. But yeah. Here, let's just see if I can try to get these graphics to be any better. But yeah, we'll be seeing a lot more of our Norian siblings as we proceed. That is not the last time we'll be fighting Xander. We'll fight him several times going into the future. Once directly near the end of the game, where things really get real. We can potentially fight him in, I think it's Chapter 12. We can also potentially fight Garen in Chapter 12, but that's not happening. I'm just gonna say it right now. When we get to Chapter 12, we are not... Well, I'm pretty sure it's Chapter 12. When we get to the chapter that Garen is on the battlefield, we are avoiding him like the plague. Garen is overpowered at that point. You have no one who is able to kill him, and that's by design. You are not supposed to attack or fight Garen at that point in the game, because Garen is like the final boss and doesn't really get any stronger from where you see him at that point to the end game, to put that in perspective. So at about halfway, slightly before halfway through the game, you encounter the game's final boss, pretty much. So we will not be poking that in the face.
You got something to say?
Yes.
So then there's just some banter back and forth between Corrin and Corrin's servant about Lilith. Lilith warps us off into whatever this realm is. It's actually called my castle, or it's the player character's castle. They get to design it, as we'll see in a couple seconds, but there isn't really that much of a good explanation for it, so we're going to save here. I'll probably put down like the first building in my castle, and then save immediately after, and that'll be the episode. So to insert obligatory tutorial on the things that I have gone through about 100 times already, but we definitely want the armory, going into a bit of strategy for this. We want to get the armory like now, because as soon as we can get Scarlet a tome, she'll be able to do a lot better. Because Scarlet's magic is 16, but her strength is 8. So basically she does a lot more damage with magic than she does with swords. And the armory will give us the ability to buy basically any weapon, any Hoshiden weapon that we need. So that means that we'll be able to then fight and get stuff. Oh, and it looks like the game did put Felicia here instead of Scarlet, who replaced her for the story. I think I might just do the supports off-screen and focus on the randomizer, because the supports are pretty much just the same, except the supports aren't even randomized, actually. It's just the conversations that are available to you change based on which characters you have, because obviously if you don't have both characters in a conversation, you can't have that conversation. So yeah. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and comment. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what other shenanigans I should try. Let me know if you want me to do a side-by-side Conquest playthrough, although I might not be able to do a randomized Conquest playthrough. I can still do a regular Conquest playthrough if you guys want. So let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in. And in the meantime, I will see you all in the next video. Have a good day.